everyone, welcome to this week's Talking with Our Traders. This space was specifically designed to give our followers exclusive access to our odds makers, and each week we'll be breaking down the action by analyzing the odds and answering our followers' biggest questions heading into the weekend matchups. I'm the host, Cindy Edwards, and with me today is Craig Mucklow, Vice President of Trading at Caesars Sportsbook.
Hello there.
Hi, Craig. Then we have Adam Pullen, Assistant Director of Trading here at Caesars.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Adam. And next up, college football expert Joey Fiesel.
Hey, guys.
And last but not least, we are joined by a special guest, MLB expert Eric Biggio.
Thanks for having me, Sam.
We're happy to have you. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great.
Yeah.
Good.
Complaints? No
Busy,
complaints?
busy.
Good week?
Yeah.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. All right, well, let's get into it. The MLB playoffs are here. Can you guys give us a breakdown of the teams that have made it this far, and who was the biggest surprise?
I guess I'll take it. The Marlins, I think, are the biggest surprise. Throughout the year, they weren't really highly thought of. No real big names, and they had a lot of major injuries throughout the year and somehow battled through it and got to this position. So, to me, they were the biggest surprise. And yeah, just watching these games as they play out today, so it's a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
I had the Marlins as well. Yeah, they outperformed their Pythagorean expectation by 9.5 wins. Got them a playoff berth. Some of the sharps did bet the Marlins season wins early in the season, so the sharps were on it. But a big surprise for me was the Padres and Cubs underperforming. So they both missed their Pythagorean by 10 and 8 wins, and they had huge run differential. So missing those two teams out of the playoffs, but yeah, it has to be the Marlins for me as well.
Yeah, you can throw the Diamondbacks in there as well as another surprise team. But yeah, Marlins probably is the one that's at the top of everybody's list. Down one game already, but we'll see if they can mount a comeback against the Phillies.
Didn't they win it twice as a wild card team?
They did.
Mm-hmm.
They did, didn't they?
Okay, well, which teams have had the largest handle?
Looking quickly, it looks like Astros, Braves, Tampa, which just got knocked out today, and the Dodgers.
All right, interesting. Let's talk about the Braves tying that home run record.
Yeah, that lineup is nothing to joke about. From 1 through 9, everybody's got power. They tied, I think it was 307 home runs out.
Yep.
That's your team, so yeah.
Yep.
They are. My Mets faced them early in the year and had 3-run leads in every single game and lost every single game. So this Braves lineup is stacked. So they'll definitely be a tough team to knock out.
And they've only been shut out twice all season. I think the first, it was like early in the season, May 12th was the last one. So yeah, just a solid lineup from top to bottom, power all through the lineup, no easy spots. If anything, it's going to be their weakness, it's the bullpen. So, and when it comes to these playoff matches, they're tight games, that could be their undoing. But yeah, trying to see if their lineup, if you can shut down their lineup, good luck.
Yeah, their runs ratio in the first inning is nuts. And halfway through the year, Eric and I were discussing some data, and he pointed out, is that correct? And we looked at it, they average over a run an inning. And one interesting thing to note is teams that led the league in home runs, the Dodgers won the World Series in the COVID year, and then prior to that, you got to go back to 2009 when the Yankees did that double.
All right. Nice. Okay, then, what are your guys' early World Series predictions?
Baltimore for me, just a fun team to root for, and I think they continue to be underrated by odds makers like me, but I'm sold. So I think they go through, and I think Dodgers have got something in them. So Baltimore and LA for me.
All right, Craig.
I had the Rays, but they're toast already, so it makes no difference.
I'll go with, assuming that the Marlins don't come back, whoever wins the Braves-Phillies series against the Orioles. I think, like Eric said, I mean, it's a great story, one of 3 teams to get 100-plus wins. Everything was trending their way. Last year, they were bet quite a bit, and this year they came right back on them. And yeah, that lineup they got is pretty amazing, and they're pushing all the right buttons. So that's my prediction: Braves or Phillies versus the Orioles.
All right. Joey, I don't know how you feel about baseball, but do you have an early prediction?
No, it's football all year long for Joey.
I can get behind that. All right, let's talk betting markets for MLB. Any interesting betting markets?
We did do a bunch. Shout out to the team, did a great job for some postseason props, some unique ones that we came up with. The fastest pitch over under 102 miles an hour, which actually was met on the first day. The reliever for the Twins threw one 103 miles an hour. Longest home run hit. So just kind of fun props to throw out there that seemed interesting. We had a few other ones that we kicked around as well, but couldn't get by compliance. But that's one for next year. Hopefully we'll work on those. But yeah, we had some interesting ones, and we'll continue to put up some fun ones through the World Series.
The most popular same game parlay of the day is in the Philadelphia-Miami game, and it's Bryce Harper over 1.5 total bases. Phillies on the money line, Kyle Schwarber to hit a home run, and Trey Turner over half base. Pays just over 10-1, and that's been really popular today. So one that we'll be keeping an eye out for sure.
And it's the late game, so
It's the late game.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Eric, and the rest of the team for breaking down the start of MLB playoffs. I'm sure we'll be talking about it a lot more with that coming up. Now let's switch gears and talk college football. Can you guys break down the Red River Showdown this weekend between number 12 Oklahoma versus number 3 Texas?
Yeah, it's going to be the game of the week. You know, this is the rivalry happens every year on a neutral site, the Cotton Bowl. It should be great. These are the top 2 teams in the Big 12. They're both undefeated going into this game. We're going to find out who's real, or if Texas is going to Texas, you know, in their usual go-to spot. So, yeah, we're really excited to see this game. Should bring in a lot of action too.
Yeah, no, Oklahoma haven't been really tested. You know, the Cincinnati game was their biggest test so far, but they've dominated the series recently, except for last year. Texas obliterated them. It was a 48-0. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. We talk about Texas. This is their biggest test remaining, as it looks on their schedule. The schedule is very favorable. Even though the Big 12 is solid, you never know when a TCU or a Kansas State can spring an upset. But if Texas wins this game, and they're favored to do so, you know, they're looking in a good position the rest of the season and getting into the playoffs, and they're a national championship contender for sure.
All right, so where do you have Texas in your power rankings?
We've currently Texas at number 4, right between Ohio State and Florida State. It's a very talented team, you know, top to bottom. Quinn Ewers, very talented quarterback. He's roughly about 4th or 5th in Heisman odds. And yeah, they're looking to compete for a national championship, and really Oklahoma's sitting in the way. So yeah, we got them at 4 right now.
All right. How does this game being played at a neutral site impact the odds?
So in every game, there's a home field advantage that's baked in. A team like Oregon State, where they're 14-1 in the past 3 years, they're getting a lot more than my Nevada, who are 5-8-1 in that same time frame. So without having a home field, you know, it's at the Cotton Bowl, right in the middle of the two. There'll be fans from both sides. There's really no home field advantage in this one. So it's really our straight up power ratings going back and forth, back to back.
Yeah, this game, it's funny. I went in, I think, 2005, and it's literally half the side is red, half the side is orange. So it's quite the spectacle. Maybe that's going to change this year because anybody can get tickets, and you know, who knows. The easy to get tickets now is not like what it was when I went there. But yeah, it's pretty much a 50-50 split. And it depends how the teams are going. If one team's going bad, you might see a little more Oklahoma than Texas. But yeah, both teams have a right to be excited, and their fans about this game, because it looks like, you know, it could go either way, even though Texas is a
yeah,
favorite.
definitely.
Right.
It'll be the coolest temperature of the week as well. It'll only be 72 degrees, so weather won't be a factor.
Heard it from our weatherman. Okay, well, Georgia will face number 20 Kentucky this weekend. How do you guys rate the Bulldogs, and can the Wildcats pull off an upset?
So the Bulldogs, I have as a second-ranked team, right behind Michigan's taking that top spot. But Kentucky's not going to be a pushover. Georgia's really been everybody's been saying they're sleepwalking through their schedule, 0-4-1 against the spread. But it's only a matter of time before they wake up. But certainly Kentucky, they're going into this game undefeated, really just shut down Florida last week. They look like they could be the real deal, but they really haven't been tested yet. We got the money line suggests an 18% chance of them winning, but who knows? It all depends if Georgia shows up, and this is really the type of game that they usually show up for. So it should be a good game, hopefully. But if Georgia wants to win by 40, they will.
Oh, the last 4 of these went under. They were
Yeah.
really low scoring. And the money came for Kentucky in the week. We opened 16.5, it's down to 14.5 now.
Interesting. Okay, let's talk Heisman. Caleb Williams and Michael Penix Jr. have gone back and forth as favorites to win the Heisman. How do you guys rate this race?
It's a good race. It's kind of back and forth. Last week, Michael Penix, he still threw for 400 yards, but he had no touchdown passes. course, Caleb had the benefit of playing Colorado defense, put up the numbers. Now he's the favorite. Yeah, it's really been going back and forth. I think what really is going to make a change, and there might even be a third contender, is Bo Nix next week. Washington and Oregon on a bye. They're going to play. Whoever wins that game, if it happens to be a shootout, might be the Heisman favorite. But no, it's been a pretty good race so far. There's no one, I mean, those two really kind of separated themselves a little bit, but there's no like minus 200. There's no big favorites. It's
Right.
really wide open.
Yeah,
Who's going to be the best player?
Plus 200, plus 325 respectively, 7-1 the rest of the field. It's a two-horse race as far as I'm concerned, and maybe November the 4th when they play each other determines who goes favourite or odds on even in that case.
That'll be a good one. Colorado, Joey, is coming off their second loss. Has the action on Colorado decreased with their losses on the season?
It's certainly decreased a bit. I mean, obviously, with the massive hype of Dion in those first 2 weeks, it was kind of a one-of-a-kind experience. They were taken over. They overshadowed, I think we talked about it, the Alabama-Texas game. So it's gone down a little bit, but I still expect the action to come in on Colorado, just being that prime effect is still in effect. But you know they got a lesser opponent, Arizona State. We saw USC struggle at Arizona State, so line was 4.5, 5.5. It's kind of going back and forth between 4 and 6. So it should be a good matchup. It all depends. Arizona State's going to play tough. They've had their fair share of problems, but I still expect the Colorado bettors to show up for this one.
The first time in a few weeks that the money line's actually reasonable to bet. You've had such heavy favourites that it kind of puts off the betting public. But what we did see against Oregon was we saw the public still took Colorado at huge odds. The sharps came in, saw this was an opportunity to buy free money, and that's why they did. That never materialised last week because we knew that was not going to happen after the Oregon beatdown. So now the money line is in play. We'll probably see a bit more handle, but it certainly dropped off last week.
That's a good point. Okay, well, let's switch gears and talk NFL, and let's start off our NFL talk with that Patrick Mahomes goal line slide. Guys, what impact did that have here at the book?
Yeah, go ahead.
Interesting. The betting public were looking good anyway because of all the parlays running onto the Chiefs that night, so it was already a good result for them. A huge swing against the betting public on the slide, but it shows why Patrick Mahomes is MVP. He knew what he was doing. He was smart. The game was over. You win the game. But it does show how much fun being in this job and being in this industry is. You know, poor Joey, all the last-minute swings in the college games, Notre Dame Duke, the two-point conversion. You know, you'll hear a scream because somebody's watching a game that they've got a liability on, and it's not going Joey's way. It's all for the public, those results. And the NFL seems to have gone a few more our way this way. But yeah, it just goes, it's never a dull day in this office.
Yeah,
Guess not.
Yeah, incredibly smart play. You know, they won the game. You slide, you win. I mean, look what happened last year, week 2. I don't know if it was week 2 or 3. Eric will remember Jets at the Browns. Nick Chubb ran it in for a touchdown. They had no timeouts left. The Jets. They went up 13, and then the Jets came back. They missed the extra point.
Yeah.
They're up 13. The Jets came back and won with no timeouts, 2 touchdowns in less than 2 minutes. So, you know, look, you slide, you win. And unfortunately for some bettors, that did cost them. But look, we've been on, as bookmakers, we've been on the wrong side of plenty of those. So, but you know, definitely a smart play by Mahomes and the right thing to do.
Yeah, NFL players are much better at college players of knowing, you know, sometimes college players just they can't resist, you know, they want to get the big plays. It doesn't mean if it's smart enough for the team, but, you know, if Mahomes goes, you hold the ball, you kneel it out, you avoid injuries, you avoid sending your defense back out there. There's also that aspect. So it was a smart play from Mahomes, not the best play for bettors.
You could still get on SportsCenter for doing something intelligent.
All right, well, let's get into our Thursday night football matchup between the 2-2 Commanders versus the winless Chicago Bears. Can we start with a breakdown of the odds?
Yeah, game opened 4.5, went up to 7. Now it's back down around 5.5. Total went up a little bit, 42.5 to 44. But look, both teams are coming off games. You know, they could have easily won, especially the Bears, being up 28-7 against Denver and blowing that one, and Washington deciding not to go for a 2-point conversion in the last, you know, time was expired. Instead went to overtime and ended up losing. So both teams, you know, should be, you know, upset that, you know, they could at least definitely had a win last week. Not sure what to expect. Washington, they thought their best part of their team was their defense. hasn't showed up this year. They've been giving up points left and right. So that's concerning. Don't really know what to think. I mean, it's hard to be excited for either team. I think Washington's definitely the better team. They're at home. But yeah, it's tough for me to pick a winner in this one.
Right. Craig, which team gets a win first, Chicago or Carolina?
I think it's the Bears, but it's not until November the 9th when they play the Panthers. Look, we've had to suffer the Jets and Giants on 5 primetime games so far this year, so it's only fitting that we could have 2 winless teams on a primetime game. I think it's the Bears. They absolutely had that game. They threw it away. But look, if you're a Bears fan, at least you covered the spread last week.
True. So what is going wrong in Chicago? Justin Fields, if I remember correctly, had a lot of MVP bets prior to the start of the season. He's not looking like an MVP right now.
His record is not MVP anyway, isn't he? 3-16 in games that he started before this year. So, I mean, everybody saw how the Bears closed out the season, how well they played, and there was hope. Obviously, with Rodgers leaving the division, there's more hope to win the division, and then you become more in the discussion for an MVP role. He's just regressed, or maybe it's the coaching or some of the decision making. They had the ball at 4th and 1. They could have kicked the field and go for it. Good teams will look at the analytics and maybe go for it because their percentage of executing that 4th and 1 is better than bad teams executing the 4th and 1. If I'm them, you get the win on the board, kick the field goal, make a bad Denver team go the distance. It's just it's tough because Chicago's a tough market. It's not New York market, but yeah, Chicago fans are not the most pleasant when their team's not doing well.
Yeah, no, I mean, he got a lot of attention before the season started. I didn't see it, but, people are looking for value. They thought, why not? Hey, Fields, it could be another Jalen Hurts situation. But yeah, it hasn't looked that way. But look, in his defense, his offensive line's not helping him. He's running for his life. He's been sacked 17 times, hurried countless other times, and that just forces you to do things you wouldn't normally do. So, the offensive line is one of the most important cogs on the football team. You can have a good quarterback, but if your line can't protect and he's running for his life, it's going to make it tough on anybody. So we'll see if he ever gets an offensive line that can help him out a little better. But again, he's only in his 2nd year. I know there's no, they want results right now. But yeah, it's been definitely a struggle. And the defense hasn't helped either.
Yeah. My Jets couldn't protect Aaron Rodgers for 4 plays, so the offensive line is paramount.
Very important. Yeah. Well, while we're on the topic of Justin Fields, we do have a flash boost for Fields. Anytime touchdown plus 220 here at the book. So do with that information what you will. Moving on, we talked about Jacksonville playing in London last week. But this is the first time ever a team's had back-to-back games in London and stayed there during the week to practice. Does Jacksonville's stay across the pond have an impact setting the odds versus Jags versus Bills?
Greg, you want to lead off? Have you ever been to London before?
Yeah. Okay. I think it's challenging. You won't, because of their opposition, the Bills are good, so we know the Bills would be favourite regardless.
Right.
The Jags in a foreign country, the food is a lot better over there, so English breakfast, curry, fish and chips. I think it will have an effect. I mean, they're used to going on the road and travelling, but being stuck in a hotel room in a foreign country, it's not that glamorous. I can speak from experience. The one thing we did say last week on Twitter Spaces was the first half favourites were 8-1-1 in the London games, and after Sunday they were 9-1-1 because the Jags covered. So we'll see if the Bills can keep that trend going.
Yeah, I mean, myself, I don't think it's going to be that big a deal. I assume they flew over real quick. It's it's the shorter. They're in New York, so it's not as long as a flight. I always say I'm sure their accommodations are very nice. I'm sure they're staying on what's the nicest, Kensington or somewhere in that area. Yes, they're probably staying at the Ritz-Carlton. No plug there, sorry. But yeah, so I think it's a little overblown. I mean, I said these teams, they travel well. They're catered to their every need. So look, if we see the result and the Jags win, then it's everybody will say, oh look, that favored the Jaguars. So the result will determine in people's mind that that was a factor when maybe it really wasn't. Look, Jags are a good team, so I wouldn't be surprised if they beat Buffalo on their own merits, not just because Buffalo had to travel.
All right. Well, heard it here first. I'm really excited about this next question. We talked about Jets versus Broncos at the start of the season. There was a lot of trash talk coming from the Broncos side with Sean Payton calling the Broncos coaching staff from last season one of the worst coaching jobs in NFL history. backstory for those who don't know, he was referring to Nathaniel Hackett, who's now the offensive coordinator for the Jets. Jets head coach had to get involved. Basically said, we'll see in week 5 when we play. Week 5 is officially here, and both teams are 1-3. Broncos are a slight favorite, but can you guys break down the odds first and foremost?
I think Zach Wilson, he looked like he really, that coaching from Aaron Rodgers looks like it paid off in this game. He just looked a lot more poised. Obviously didn't get the results that they wanted. But this Broncos team, the defense is pretty bad. So I think it really is a toss-up game. Was it 1.5 right now is where it's sitting. So it really could go either way. But I do slightly lean the Jets in this situation because that Jets defense still looks like the real deal. So, yeah, I mean, neither one of these teams I really want to watch. They weren't going to be DVR'd at home to watch. But I think I lean Jets in this spot.
You're the Jets expert.
Oh, I do take offense to that. No, so like Fee said, I mean, Zach Wilson was excellent, and everybody was calling for his head going into the game. But this is, as a pessimistic Jets fan, I've seen this movie before. The
Right.
quarterback has a decent game. Guarantee. Yeah, this is where he throws at least 3 or 4 interceptions, including the pick six. So I'm expecting him to get killed.
3 of the last 6 games in Denver, the Jets got shut out.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. There it is.
All 6 went under the total. Look, Wilson's in a tough market. He's in the New York market. He's trying to replace Aaron Rodgers, who was brought in to replace him. So obviously there's that issue. Get him off prime time. He's not going up against the Chiefs. If I'm Nathaniel Hackett and I've got a field goal opportunity to put 73 on Denver, I think you're doing it, aren't you?
That would be fun.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think both teams are going to remember that conference. I think,
They never forget.
yeah,
Right.
it's bulletin board material, as we'd like to call
Yeah,
it,
that's
right?
It definitely adds to, it's 2 1-3 teams. Is there any intrigue? I don't know, but it definitely is a good talking point. I mean, but look, Sean Payton, what everybody said, that Nathaniel Hackett, seemed to be out of his element. I mean, that wasn't just a Sean Payton idea. That's pretty much was the consensus. I mean, time management early in the season left a lot to be desired. But look, Sean Payton has a credibility. He's got that Super Bowl, so he can sort of say what he likes. He took some grief. He apologized for it, but I'm
I
sure
did see the
Nathaniel
apology,
I'm
yeah.
sure Nathaniel Hackett is looking to come back and exact some revenge for sure. I'm sure
Okay.
they'll douse him with Gatorade. Even though he's not the coach, he might get doused with Gatorade.
This is both teams Super Bowl right here. Okay, so fun follow-up question. We talked about Zach Wilson. Which QB would you rather have in a must-win game, Zach Wilson or Mac Jones? Who wants to start?
I can start. I say in a straight-up competition, I take Mac Jones. He's better in almost every stat category. I wouldn't want either of these, AFC offenses to be, have in a must-win situation. But if I have to choose, it'd be Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones, played at Alabama, a lot of big games. If you had him in a different team with a little more firepower within the receiving core, I think, and a little different coaching, I think he'd be good. But I'd go Mac Jones slightly over here over Zach.
To quote Montgomery Brewster, none of the above. You're not old enough to know who that is. But yeah, I mean, look, they're both in really tough situations. One's replacing the GOAT, the one plays in New York, neither's a recipe for success. Mac Jones has a W over Wilson anyway, so if you have to pick a side, you have to take Jones. But interestingly, they're 26th and 27th in QBR this year. Below them is Daniel Jones, Fields, Burrow, Pickett, Ritter, Tannehill, and Bryce Young. So there's some talent below them as well.
Yep.
Interesting.
Who would you take? You're a Jets fan, you take it.
No, I'm taking Mac Jones in a heartbeat. Yeah, just like Joey said. I mean, he won it with Alabama, and Zach hasn't shown anything. So
Yeah, I'll make it a consensus.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like really a coin flip, but if I had to make a decision, I'd say Mac Jones.
All right, we're all in agreement. Let's jump into one of the best matchups this week, which happens to be the primetime game on Sunday night. 4-0 49ers versus the 3-1 Cowboys. Guys, what should we expect?
Well, you should expect a great game on paper. I mean, look, 2 of the top 3 teams in the NFC going at it. The rivalry for a non-divisional matchup, it's probably the best rivalry in the NFL. The countless number of close games and years ago, the catch, you can go on and on. But yeah, line open 3.5, 45, now it's 4 and 45. Dallas coming off a big win over New England, but, they have one team that they played, the same, and that was the Cardinals. Saw what happened. Dallas got obliterated by the Cardinals. Niners took care of them last week. So, Dallas has said they got well against the Patriots last week, but this is a different animal. That defense is super strong, and obviously their offense is clicking. Purdy's doing well. Christian McCaffrey is looking great. Putting himself in the MVP race. It's going to be a tough assignment for Dallas, but definitely a game they can win. But I think the Niners are a class a little bit better than Dallas, so naturally I rate them a little better than Dallas, but it certainly could go either way.
Cowboys have won the last 4 in San Fran in regular season. Although they did play the playoff game last year that the 49ers won.
Not sure what Dallas's offensive line issues are. I think that's the key for me. So if they're getting back to health, I think Dallas could definitely hang with them. But if they're still banged up, the Niners are the play.
All right. Are Christian McCaffrey's MVP odds on the rise?
I was surprised because on Sunday when we're looking, we do a call on a Sunday evening. I'm speaking to the team because I saw McCaffrey's performance. Like, what do we move him to MVP? And we were 30 to 1, went into 20s. Look, we know it's a quarterback's award, but that kind of surprised me, judging by his performance. But he's plagued with injuries, so he's got to see the season out to be a real contender, that's for sure.
Yeah, his own teammate Brock Purdy is 14-1, so he has better odds than McCaffrey.
Exactly,
But
yeah.
like Craig said, we've talked about before, the MVP award is a quarterback-driven award.
Right.
And Christian McCaffrey, as great as he is, his biggest thing is staying healthy. So, when you do as much as he does, not only does he run the ball, you can throw to him as well. So he does everything, so that leaves him open for more plays to get hit. So if he finishes the season and can keep up the numbers like he is so far, he's going to be in the mix. This might be, could be a year where we have a non-quarterback that wins the MVP.
Yeah, I think up until this point, he is the most valuable player. But again, it's just he's not a quarterback. That's the only thing holding him back. It's for whatever reason, we love to see a good quarterback. They take all the glory, and if they're doing bad, they also take all the flack. So it kind of goes both ways, and I think that's where they really should change it to most valuable quarterback award.
The Niners have so many options. I mean, not only, yes, Brock Purdy's playing well, McCaffrey's well, but their defense is a big part of the Niners. So a lot of people are, look at the defense as being the valuable part of that team. But yeah, there are a lot of choices to pick from on that 49er team. Tons of great players and great talent.
Definitely. Well, next up we have the 1-3 Raiders versus the 2-2 Packers. The Raiders have not beat the Packers since 1987. Break down the odds for us.
Yeah, game open pick in 43.5. Now the Packers are a 1-point favorite. Total 44.5. I know the game's being played right down the road at Allegiant Stadium, but it's going to be a Packer crowd. We saw it happen a couple weeks ago against the Steelers, predominantly Steeler fans. I mean, this is going to be an invasion of Wisconsinites, not only from the state of Wisconsin, but everywhere around the West Coast. Everybody's coming to Vegas. So the Raiders, they're at home, in name only. So it's going to be an interesting atmosphere. But yeah, it's a big game for the Raiders. Obviously, they're 1-3. They have the quarterback issues. Is Jimmy G going to play? Aiden O'Connell I thought he looked all right. He did throw that big pick at the end of the game, fumbled a couple of times. But Khalil Mack was in his face the whole game, so he was under duress. I mean, I've seen a lot worse quarterback performances. I mean, this is a guy that nobody thought he would see any of the field before preseason. Had a decent preseason, which got people excited about him. Got him the number 2 spot. But I think the Packers had a rough week last week against the Lions, so they're not coming off a great game either. But it's a big week for the Raiders. It's a game, they can go 1-4, but a lot of things going against them right here, especially if Jimmy G can't play.
Yeah, everybody was talking about the Packers' first half woes and how bad they've been. But, I mean, yeah, they are dead last on my numbers for the first half, but the Raiders are 28th. So don't spot teams 14 points at the start of the game, and then you might have a chance.
And also, don't forget the revenge situation.
Right, the return.
The return of Rich Bisaccia, the interim coach of the Raiders. He led them to the playoffs, 7-5 record. Did not get the full-time job, and that went, as we know, to Josh McDaniels. And a lot of people might be questioning that move. So Bisaccia, he's the special teams coordinator, assistant coach, assistant head coach for the Packers. So he's coming back his first trip to Las Vegas. So we'll see how that goes. I myself, not trying to play Monday morning quarterback, but seemed like he should get the job, led him to the playoffs.
Done the playoffs.
You know,
Yeah.
maybe they thought, you know, as good as he did, maybe we can get somebody better that could do better than he did, but, you know, as it hasn't been like that so far, a lot of people questioning McDaniels on a lot of fronts this season, so it'll be interesting. There's another angle, not only Nathaniel Hackett coming back for revenge, Rich Bisaccia's coming back for revenge as well.
Jets and Packers payback parlay. There you go.
There you go.
Ooh, get that cooking. We also have Devontae if he plays. That will be his first game back against the Packers. But so yeah, a lot of returns happening.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to a new game that we have that I cooked up myself. It's called Overreaction or Not. I'm going to give you guys an overreaction, and you're going to let me know if it truly is an overreaction or if it's not. So let's start with the Bengals won't make the playoffs.
Not an overreaction. They're currently 2-1 to make the playoffs, and the window is open. Joe Burrow injured. This Bengals team really doesn't look like their normal self, so I don't see them making the playoffs this year.
If they lose either to the Cardinals or the Seahawks next 2 weeks, you can put a fork in them.
Yeah, they got a tough schedule, and
Yeah.
as Joe said, Burrow is not 100%, and I just don't think they can pull the rabbit out of the hat this year like they have in previous years.
No, in agreement. Ravens and Browns, I think, are ahead of them in the division, and so no easy path ahead.
All right, not an overreaction. Next, we have Bill Belichick won't pass Shula for most wins in a career.
You'll love this, okay? Being
Will
a
I?
New England Patriots fan, okay? So he's 25 behind Shula, which we discussed a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
At the current win rate for the Patriots, he'd have to coach for another 25 years. That would make him 97.
See, I can see Belichick 97 on the sideline with his little sweater, like making an angry face. I can see that.
Look, 6 Super Bowls gets you some job security, but in the NFL, I don't think it gives you forever job security. He's the second oldest coach in the league behind Pete Carroll by a few months. No offense, it's becoming a younger man's league. 13 of the head coaches are younger than 50. The average age is 48. At some stage, if you don't have a great quarterback like Tom Brady, accept second place. I mean, you've got every other record. Let's surely keep one of them.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
definitely getting the heat.
Well, I mean, look, he's 71, which I say he looks good for 71. So it's,
He's a
you know,
rich
you think he's-
71, as Chris Rock would say.
But again, like Craig said, Tom Brady can make, you know, even a hard-nosed NFL coach who's been through all the battles, you know, Tom Brady makes him look pretty good. He's hadn't had to worry a lot with having a number 12 under center for the Patriots, but it's just a matter of how long he wants to coach. I mean, he's one of the greats. He's been around for so long, and, you know, like I said, he has 6 Super Bowls in his pocket, and I don't think they're gonna, you know, fire him, but you know, you never know now. I mean, some, you know, legends and players are untradeable, or, you know, you think are going to stay, they get traded now. You know, coaches get fired, so it's not like it used to be. But I think he'll have his decision on when he wants to leave. I would hope. I think he's earned it.
As a Dolphins fan, I'll give you this. I don't want to see him get unceremoniously dumped or fired. Like,
Right.
let the guy go out when he's ready to go out, and go out while you're ahead. I mean, they're struggling right now.
Totally. All right, next up, overreaction or not, CJ Stroud is the real deal.
I think so. I think C.J. Stroud is real. He's shown that he was a good investment at the number 2 pick. I remember back when we were doing the draft, there was rumblings that he's going to fall, and I really didn't see it. You know, there's Will Levis was coming out of nowhere. Yeah, exactly. We haven't seen him play at all. So, yeah, he's gone 151 pass attempts, no interception. He looks good out there. I mean, whether it continues throughout the season, we'll see. But at this point, yeah, he looks like he's the real deal.
Yeah, he's playing confidently. From the games I've seen, that's what's kind of jumped off the screen to me, is a rookie quarterback that takes command, and even with the mediocre team that he's got, he's playing with confidence, and that to me shows he's got a big future ahead.
I think he owes Nico Collins a decent Christmas present, because he's making him look a lot better, in my opinion. Third in passing yards, but the completion percentage is low. He's got a high yards per average, so he does get some long plays from his receivers, and Nico Collins is playing out of his skin. He hasn't threw a pick, I don't think, yet, which there's a lot more expensive quarterbacks in the league that throw quite a lot of them. So,
True.
Jury's out for me.
All right, let's talk another quarterback, overreaction or not. Daniel Jones is the next Kirk Cousins.
No. I am Kirk Cousins' #1 fanboy. I'm telling you this right now. Passing yards this year, Kirk's 3rd, Jones is 24th. Touchdowns, Kirk leads the league, Jones is 29th. First down success, Kirk's 3rd, Jones 24th. Daniel Jones is 1-12 on prime time. Kirk Cousins has won 12 more games than Daniel Jones on prime time.
And he gets all the slack for the prime time.
Every time. Yeah, he's got a losing record on prime time.
Yeah.
But if the Vikings or the Commanders or whoever the team was when he played for Washington, when they were down, they were not out. We saw the game last year. It was at the Colts and the Vikings. I even went into the head of in play and says, they're not out of this, and they came all the way back. I don't think they got the win, but they got all the way back. You're never out of it with Kirk Cousins. Maybe he does some silly decisions. I mean, he threw a pick 6 last week, went the distance.
Right.
They came back and won the game. So, no, that's my opinion.
Yeah, I know. Cousins got all the flack, and we talked about it all last year. But yeah, Daniel Jones. If you look at the record, it's another world. It's not even close to Kirk Cousins. Daniel Jones. Look, he signed that big extension. He's going to get that heat. New York's not an easy place to play. So look, I think he's earned it. I mean, he hasn't looked good. His offensive line is not the best, so he's been under duress quite a bit. He was the other night. But yeah, I would say Cousins is definitely not. You can't match them up. I mean, we talk about the narrative, prime time performance. That's when everybody sees those standalone games. When everybody sees,
Right.
If you don't perform, people remember that. But it would be wise for Daniel Jones to probably have one of these primetime games where he does well instead of ones that are buried on a Sunday 10 o'clock slate with 5 or 8, 9 other games going on. But yeah, it's a staggering record, and it deserves some scrutiny.
I'll go the other way on this one. I think Daniel Jones. I mean, he won the playoff game in Minnesota last year, right?
Yeah.
And he took it to them. The line's been terrible this year, no doubt about it. And Daniel Jones his play has been poor. But I think I really like him as a quarterback. You give him some protection, some weapons. I think I'm not counting him out just yet.
It's our first split decision. I like it. Okay, let's do some predictions. Offensive Rookie of the Year.
I'm going with Anthony Richardson, offensive rookie. He's been very impressive on the ground, and I think that threat's going to open up some passing lanes, and I think he's going to have success down the road. There's a couple running backs, Stephon A-Chain that looks good. Obviously, Bijan Robinson looks good, but there's always injuries that come down the line for running backs, and I'm not trying to put that on anybody, but it's the truth of what happens to running backs when you're getting hit every week in and out. I think it's a safer play with Anthony Richardson.
If he stays healthy, Richardson. Mm-hmm. I'm not sold on Stroud, and it's too short for me at the price he is. I think it's plus 160. I'll go with A-Chain. That's the only positive you'll hear me say about the Dolphins.
Stroud's a deserving favorite now. We talked about how, Craig has some doubts, but, stats are, pretty decent. So he's a deserving favorite. Bijan Robinson, second choice. But could go, look, we're only a quarter way into the season, so there's plenty of time left to see who separates himself. So as each game goes, the odds will change. So we'll talk about this next week, and the odds could be completely different.
Absolutely. All right, Defensive Rookie of the Year.
I'm going to go with the hot hand, Devon Witherspoon. Defensive Player of the Week for the NFC, 2 sacks and a pick 6. I think it's abundantly clear why Pete Carroll took a cornerback as the pick number 6 or 5, whichever one. It's been a while since the draft. But
is that the pick they got from Denver?
Yeah, I think so. And they picked him over the favorite of Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter, part of a very deep defense, which he's going to have plays. But I think as we go through the season, I think it's going to become clear it's Witherspoon's the guy.
I'll go Will Anderson. I mean, he's 8.5 to 1. Maybe a little bit of a value play. But he's off to a good start. Texans are playing better than people thought they would. So, why not him at a somewhat decent price?
All right. Should we move into weekly predictions?
Do we have to?
Yeah, wait, what?
Okay.
Well, are we keeping track of...
I'm keeping track of mine.
Oh, okay.
I'm 2-2.
Okay.
Joey and his 2 wins, yes.
He's the leader, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'm gonna start keeping a closer eye on these so that someone
Please.
has bragging rights at the end. All right,
there's
Joey.
already money on the side. Don't worry about this.
Mr. 2-2, what is your this week's prediction?
You know, as a Rams fan, it pains me to say this, and I don't like playing favorites, but I'm taking the Niners on Sunday night. I think they're the much better team. There's not any holes in this team at all. CMC's playing out of his mind. Cowboys haven't really impressed me with the competition they've been facing so far, so I'm going to go with the Niners. -4.
I like it.
who's next, me?
Yeah, go for it.
0-4 the record, so fade away. But what team was one of the teams that looked the worst last week? What team has probably the worst travel of this coming week? You can say along with the Bills, and that's the Falcons. So I'm laying the 2 with the Falcons against the Texans, who we've talked about in mostly glowing terms so far. So I'm going taking the contrarian view, taking the Falcons
There you go. I
-2.
like that.
Taking your Patriots.
Finally, someone in here takes the Patriots. Okay.
I mean, off an embarrassing loss, I can't imagine that was a fun week with Bill Belichick lighting up his players, so I think they'll be ready to go. Saints, I just don't know what's going on with them. One minute you think they look good against the Packers, and then just terrible. So I'll take the Pats and basically a pick 'em game. I know there's been some sharp money the other way, but I still think give me a free roll. I'm taking the Pats all day.
Love it.
Last 100 primetime games, the under is 64, 35 and 1. I'm going with Joey's 49ers Dallas game, and I'm going first half over.
Whoa. Whoa.
That carries some weight. It's taking it over.
If it's an over, I've got to like it a lot.
Yeah.
If it's an over.
Wow. Okay.
So 0-5, here we come.
Love it. All right. Well, it looks like we're just about out of time. Thank you everyone who joined and submitted questions for our Talk with the Traders. Thank you, Craig, Adam, Joey, and Eric. If you don't already, please toss us a follow at Caesar Sports on Instagram and X, formerly known as Twitter. We're also on Facebook, and this entire conversation will be uploaded to our YouTube channel with video, so you guys can kind of see these guys react when I ask them these questions. It's super fun. Check it out. We hope you have a lovely weekend watching all these anticipated matchups. Guys, anything to say?
Good luck.
Good luck.
Yeah, best of luck.
Good luck.